What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of RX Bar, Einstein Bagels, P90X, Atari, many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise 25, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Rise 25 hosts in-person VIP events and masterminds for top entrepreneurs all over the country, including many events in the e-commerce industry. Rise 25, we hosted events this past year in Austin, Chicago, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, San Diego, New York, Sonoma, Las Vegas, probably more than I'm missing. But if you see the value of immersing yourself with top entrepreneurs to connect and collaborate to get to the next level, go to Rise 25 and contact us to find out when and where our next event is going to be. I am really excited to talk to today's guest, Kailey Donewald. She's the co-founder of Sacred Serve. If you look on their website, you will immediately get hungry and your mouth will start to water. They're a Chicago-based company innovating ice cream that's fully organic, raw, vegan gelato made from whole coconuts. Kailey, I love this. All flavors are dairy-free, vegan, and paleo, and strictly free of gluten, dairy, corn, soy, GMOs, stabilizers, fillers, and preservatives. When I read that, Kailey, it makes me think this is hard to do because all those things hold stuff together and make it so it doesn't go bad, right? So we'll talk about some of that stuff. They're challenging the conventional route of pint-sized packaging with their super unique-looking 10-ounce containers. They are 40 locations across Chicago, expanding. Kailey, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to talk about your background for a second, but why this ice cream? I mean, I make ice cream in my kitchen, and I didn't think about starting a ice cream or gelato. I don't call it ice cream. Gelato. Why? What was the first iteration of this?
Sure. So it goes back a couple years, and actually, so my business partner, him and his wife lived in Bali in Indonesia for a while.
Yeah.
And my partner is a raw food chef, raw vegan out there. There's a really big yoga community. Meditation's really big. So naturally there's this, I want to eat healthy, support my body. So while they were out there, coconuts are everywhere. So he kind of decided, what can I do with this? How can I create a little business that no one else is doing over here? And that's kind of how the ice cream thing came about. And so they had that up and running for a little while. It was very popular over there. I was subsequently living over there around the same time. We didn't know each other, and I had tried the ice cream, loved it. And then we all subsequently moved back to Chicago. We got introduced by a mutual friend, and it kind of felt synchronistic that, all right, I have this sensitivity to dairy. He's got this product that they're no longer running. Why don't we come together and bring it here and see if we can make it work in the States?
So you both happen to be from Chicago, or you just moved there?
We both happen to be from Chicago. Oh. They've lived a couple different places. I'm from Chicago originally, and so this is kind of where we met back up.
So tell me about Bali. What was going on at the time? Because I was looking, as I was researching, you're a certified health coach, so you were doing something in the health space in Bali.
Right.
And the other question is, why would you ever come back to Chicago?
That is a great question. I ask myself this all the time. Yeah. I guess taking it back, I worked in consulting for about 5-6 years after college and kind of felt like I'm really run down. I'm working 80 hours a week. I feel fatigued. I've always suffered from asthma and allergies, just wasn't really taking care of my body. So I took a couple sabbaticals. The first time I went to India. The second time I went back to India, and on the end of that trip, I was like, well, why don't I explore a couple other places? So I went down to Bali to kind of continue this yoga and meditation studies that I had been doing. And when I got there, there is this big raw food movement, and I kind of thought, well, I'm into this whole cleansing, mind, body, soul thing. Why don't I just try a raw vegan diet? And so I started eating that way, and within a week and a half, 2 weeks, I could already tell that my body was healing itself of asthma. Like I could breathe for the first time. I was 25. I had never known what that felt like. So that felt very profound to me, that, okay, maybe it's the food.
Like this breathing thing. I like this I like being able to breathe freely. Yeah.
Honestly, it felt like I was getting more oxygen to my brain, and just, it felt like I had more opportunities and more things going on. So I thought that I'm going to come home, I'm going to dedicate my life to kind of spreading this awareness that the food we eat has such a big impact on how we're feeling. So I quit my job and went back to school to be a health coach, and that's kind of what I did. So I migrated my career into doing that, which allowed me to move back to Bali because I kind of created this location independent business where I could do it all online with
cool.
the goal of moving back there and continuing to study and immerse myself in everything that was going on over there.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about at some point what you learned working for the organics company, but what made you what were you hoping to get out of a sabbatical? I feel like if I was burnt out, I don't know if I would have the guts to just be like, I'm going to move to India and see what happens. Yeah. What were you hoping to accomplish?
I think that I didn't know, and India sounded like the most unique experience that I could have. So I think that I was just looking for a complete change up. I think one of my friends who I had lived with a couple years prior called me one day, and she was like, I'm doing a round the world trip, and I'm going to stop off in India and like live on an ashram and study yoga and meditation. I know that you're big into yoga. Do you want to join? And when she said that, it's a month-long program, and I just was kind of like, yeah, I'll be there. That's no question. I'm going to make it happen. So, yeah, that was the impetus in the first trip that I took.
What did you learn, Kailey, at the organics company that now you take to Sacred Surf? What kind of things were you doing?
Yeah, so
it seems like you were working a lot there.
I was doing a lot of different things. So most of it was sales. So I really kind of formed all these relationships with a lot of these buyers. They sell nationwide. Right now we're just in Chicago, but it really helped me understand, okay, what's the process for getting a product on the shelves at a new location, and how does it work, that kind of relationship, the wholesale side of the business, new product development, and things like that.
So what does that look like? What are some things that you saw that you wouldn't have known otherwise?
Basically the art of cold calling. So I realized, what buyers are interested in, what they care about, how to appeal to them, what their consumers are looking for. The politics of it. There's only a certain amount of shelf space. What kind of margin are they looking for in their products? How quickly things can move for them? Do they want free delivery, or do they want sale prices? Do they like coupons?
They just want free product, right?
Yeah.
What are buyers interested in the ice cream or gelato space?
Well, we like to think that our buyers are interested in seeing a clean label. I think we're seeing more and more that this simple foods movement is really starting to take hold. And as someone that myself has suffered from food sensitivities and things like that, we're seeing more people that are lactose intolerant, more people that want transparency to understand who's making these products, where are they sourcing their ingredients, what are the nutrition facts, how many things are in here that I can't read, things like that.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to promise me when you talk to Sadie, the founder of Bread Seriously, you'll update me on what you guys talk about, because I think it will be a really interesting conversation. So then you come back and you meet up with your co-founder, then you just were friendly, I guess. So what made you decide to then move forward with the business?
So it just felt kind of synchronistic. Like, I had just come back from Bali. I've got this huge mission now where I'm wanting to spread the awareness that what we're eating is really impacting how we're thinking and how we're feeling. And for me, I realized that dairy was a major sensitivity for me. That was kind of my big thing.
Yeah.
And so when I met them and realized, like, oh, you guys also lived in Bali, you feel this magical tie to it like I do, and you've got this dairy-free product that you're not even selling anymore.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to kind of have my own thing. The health coaching was kind of pushing me in that direction, but once I heard that, okay, there's this product, we don't have time to run it, you're looking for something to do, this is super in line with what the mission that I'm trying to share, and we just kind of decided, I think it really makes sense. We feel called to kind of bring this home and see if we can do it here.
So then talk about the first batch that you created here in Chicago.
Yeah, so we were I think that they had bought a little ice cream maker off Amazon or something very, very basic. And we use coconut meat as our base. So we had found a place to get some coconut meat, and we mixed it up in a blender, and we're just kind of running some batches, and it tasted amazing. So we were like, okay, great. Let's start moving forward and see if we can keep tooling around.
You did a couple like experiment batches, because right now, if people check out the website, I mean, you have coconut caramel, right? Matcha mint chip and the chocolate superfood. And the chocolate superfood, I think, has, what's it, turmeric, or what does it have in it?
We've got maca powder in there, as well as some shaga mushroom powder.
Shaga mushroom powder, that's what it is. The shaga mushroom powder. So what made you decide to put shaga mushroom powder in there? I was talking to one of the top experts in mushrooms. It's his friend's dad who actually does it, and he was telling me all about the medicinal properties of mushrooms.
Right. So we're just kind of trying to make these functional foods and give every flavor a little boost to kind of support whatever it is that we're looking at. So shaga mushrooms, just a nutrient-dense superfood. It contains a wide variety of vitamins and minerals. It's an anti-inflammatory. So we've also got the maca powder in there, which is an adaptogenic. So it helps to balance hormones, gives a little bit of natural energy. So also, the cacao powder itself is an antioxidant powerhouse, so that'll also give you energy, too.
So talk about the evolution. You go from Amazon ice cream maker, right? What's next?
Right. The next step was we bought a soft serve machine from China, and our original model was that we were going to make these liquid batches and put soft serve ice cream machines in all these restaurants around the city and then supply them with our batches.
Sign me up. Didn't work though.
Great, because in Bali they were doing some soft serve, and we just thought that's the way to go. So we import this machine, we spend all this money getting it in, we put it into our commissary kitchen, which at the time was just this little health food store, who was nice enough to just let us share some of their kitchen space. And we start running our batches, and we're realizing, like, this is not working, it's freezing because there's no dairy, there's no stabilizers in there. It was like ice, and it just wasn't working. And I think it wasn't the machine, because it will run dairy ice cream just fine. It just wasn't a good fit for our product. So that was kind of the moment where I realized that we kind of had to give this company a little gas, and we had to invest in a better piece of equipment in order to run our product on it.
So what was next?
So next was we bought an American-made ice cream machine, and it was a cold batch freezer. So we're now making hard ice cream. We're not trying to do the soft serve. So we just kind of thought, okay, maybe this product is not meant to be done in soft serve, so let's just go ahead and make pints of ice cream and do the hard batch there. So that worked out a lot better for us, but that was a huge, at the time, this was so early, that was like a $15,000 investment for us to get this piece of equipment. So, I went into it being like, I'll put in $5,000 and that'll be, we'll just see if this goes. And then that day we were like, all right, I think we're going to have to give it a little bit more.
Because that just was what it took.
Yeah.
So when you get that machine, then what?
So we got that machine, and in the meantime,
were you experimenting on the side with flavors? Because at this point, you still need to make kind of the core product, figure out the core recipe, and then you got to get distribution for it.
Right. So my partners were kind of tinkering around with the recipe, still on that home machine, and then we get this new piece of equipment in. We find another one of our friends is a kombucha maker, and he was nice enough to let us share kitchen space with him. So we put our machine in there, we put a blast freezer in there, and that's where we started really experimenting with flavors and different recipes, similar ingredients, but just different variations of it to see what's going to get us the best texture, the best flavor, what's going to run best on this machine, and all those sorts of things.
So what was the first flavor? Do you come up with all three at once?
We came up with salted caramel first, and actually that was supposed to be our vanilla. In our heads, we're like, okay, here's all the ingredients, this is going to be vanilla. And when we ran it, we realized, because we use coconut sugar, which is like that dark kind of caramel color, no matter what we do, it ends up tasting like caramel. So we were like, okay, well, I guess our most generic flavor is just going to be salted caramel. We really can't even get a vanilla. So that's how that flavor came about.
Yeah, I just made it's not vegan because there's egg in it, but dairy-free, gluten-free chocolate chip cookies with just raw almond butter and the coconut sugar, and it turns it that really dark. So it'd be virtually impossible to get a white vanilla from the coconut sugar. Where do you get the coconut meat from?
So we get that from Thailand. So it's all certified organic meat that is frozen in Thailand and then shipped overseas. And so we work with a distributor who's out in New York to get it through them back into Chicago.
So that's your first flavor. How much of it do you produce, and what do you do with it?
Back then, so all these things were working simultaneously. So we were working on packaging at that time. So I guess for the first couple months, we were just making these flavors and selling them at little markets and kind of giving them to our friends and seeing what people thought and having little socials and parties for people to try it. But then we got our packaging together and we sold it to our first store, which was the same person that allowed us to use their kitchen. So it's called Amish and Healthy Foods here in Chicago.
Where is it? What is it called?
Amish and Healthy Foods.
Oh, where is it?
The owner, Lucy, is really great. It's in Westtown in Chicago. It's right on Western Avenue. It's a really great local shop. They've got a ton of local products, and they source a lot of things from some farms around the area.
So you get it in there, and then were you trying to get in other places, or were you just wanted to kind of sell what you had at that place?
We were trying to get into some other places. We saw people were starting to buy it there, and so immediately it was just kind of I jumped into that sales role again, where what buyers do I know in the city? How many stores can I get this into? What can we even produce? How long is this going to last on the shelves? What are people going to think? And I mean, back then our recipes were way different than what they are now, and so we were dealing with the fact that it would take a really long time for our ice cream to melt because there's no dairy and there's no gums or anything in there. It was just kind of like very solid. So we went through a handful of iterations there, but people kept buying it. I think that the list of ingredients is enough for people to be interested in it, and if they had an off experience, they're going to keep trying it, and so we're grateful that they did.
It's tough. It's a tough balance because if it's solid, then it obviously will keep longer, right? But then people will have to get like a chisel out when they want to eat it.
Right.
So what was the next milestone for you? So you get it in the store. How much of it at the time could you produce with what you had?
Well, it was just me, and so nothing was efficient. I was just all day long making these flavors, literally pulling you've seen machines where it just kind of like squeezes the ice cream automatically into all these pints. Like, that is not our process at all. We have containers that look like Chinese takeout boxes, kind of like this. And so nothing is going to dollop it right in there. So we're pouring it into a bucket. I'm using spoons to kind of like spoon it into each of these things and sealing it like it was a mess. So I'm working all day, every day. Our capacity of production was probably 50 units a day, so not a lot.
Depending on how much sleep you want to get?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So, we were navigating that, and then I would say the next big milestone was moving into our own kitchen space. I think that I realized I was using a lot of time, and we're trying to schedule ourselves around the kombucha maker. It's his kitchen. What are we doing here? And so we're in a building called The Plant, and they've been really welcoming to us. And I said the second we started sharing space with this kombucha maker, I talked to the owner of the building and said, look, I think this product's going to grow. We would love to have our own space. So let's start talking about that. And so within 6 months, he kind of said, we have this space. Do you want to take it? And we sat and talked and said, we think there's enough demand for this. Let's go ahead and invest and build out our own dedicated facility so we can really start making this more efficient.
So then you have to put the sales hat on again, or what happened?
Always. Yeah, so then we moved into the new space. We built it all out to our own specs. We got more equipment, and we brought on our first employee who now does our production. We still only have her. She's amazing. She works a couple days a week, and that allowed me a little bit more time to free up just kind of what I need to be doing, which is, more sales, more logistics, more strategy, start thinking about these bigger things. So that was a big step for us, is when we got to hire Kira, is her name, and it's been really great so far.
When did the next flavors come into play?
The flavors we launched at the same time. So we were experimenting with a couple, and so we launched 3 SKUs at one time. That was kind of something my partner said, we want to put 3 out at one time. We want to have a shelf space that is 3 wide and push that out to everyone from the start. So it was some tinkering around. I mean, they did have this product in Bali, so there were some ideas already of some flavors and how things go together. So it was more just kind of refining those and deciding, what do we think is going to be marketable for consumers here. We've already got a super unique, clean product. Do we want to start with the turmeric ginger, or do we want to go with something a little more approachable that's like a mint chip and a chocolate? So we kind of tried to stay a little conservative on those to start.
I'm like looking. You see me looking over here. I like want to order it right now, but I'm serious. So if someone wants to get it, they can go on. I mean, they can get it in Chicago only, right?
Right. So
luckily, I'm in Chicago, so it looks like I can go to a delivery, which is Mercado Grocery Delivery or Foxtrot Delivery Market. And so, how do you decide what to charge?
Yeah, that was. We had to take a look at our costs, and we had to
because the more clean, the better ingredients, it's costly to make. I mean,
right, exactly.
I mean, when I went to make those, paleo gluten-free almond butter cookies, I mean, the raw almond butter is like $15 or something a jar, and so you can't charge pennies for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's tough, and we kind of took a look at the market landscape as well as our own costs, and we didn't want to budge on the quality and where we're sourcing. And being such a small company, we don't even have the scale to bring the cost down at this time. So, we kind of reverse engineered it. We took a look at our costs. We took a look at the margins that each retailer is going to need to make. We took a look at the margin that a distributor would take when they come in, and then we got to our final price, and we spot checked it with what's existing on the market. So right now, we don't sell a traditional pint, which is 16 ounces. We sell 10 ounces. And we looked at some of the more expensive, high-quality ingredient ice cream brands in our area right now, and we basically just matched them on an ounce, like on a price per ounce basis, which got us to a retail price right now of $8.99.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to order today, 3 of them. I think
Perfect.
I have room. Let's talk about the packaging. How do you decide on, like, you hold it up again, what the packaging looks like? Yeah.
One of these guys.
So what's it made of? It's just cardboard?
It's cardboard, and we did actually work a really long time to try and find something that could be recyclable, and we kept hitting these roadblocks. I mean, I was studying Ben & Jerry's and all these thought leaders in the industry to see, like, what are these people doing, and unfortunately, because the inside has to be coated in plastic in order for it to not bleed through the paperboard itself, you just can't recycle paperboard and plastic together like that. So I was researching companies. There's a company that makes an eco coating that is a recyclable plastic.
Oh, really?
And because we're so small, we had them talk with our packaging manufacturer to see if they can work together and make these sustainable containers for us. But their minimums are like 200,000 units at the time we're 500. So that is coming. But we knew that we wanted to do something a little bit different. We knew we wanted to do something a little bit smaller, kind of communicating this minimalist feeling and, indulging in moderation. So we found this manufacturer, and it was kind of, at the beginning of a company, you're doing everything. So in my head, I'm like, how do I design this? I'm not a designer. What do I want?
Looks good.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I worked on the logo. We kind of nailed down what we wanted the logo to look like. This simple, it's sacred geometry is what that logo really is. And so it ties in with kind of what we're about. But it was in the winter, and I was feeling super uninspired, and here I am sitting here trying to come up with this like really creative box for our product, and I knew that I just couldn't do it alone. So I decided I'll take a trip. Traveling for me is always really a time to kind of feel inspired and meet new people, and so I found one of the cheapest tickets I could find, which was to Slovenia, and I went there for a month. Yeah, and so I went there for a month, and my goal was, I'm going to meet some designers. I'm going to just see who I can connect with while I'm here. This is my sole purpose. Hopefully I can connect with someone cool. So I get there, I'm all by myself. I get a little Airbnb for a month, and within 2 days I meet these two designers. I don't know. I had networked and just met random people, and they were super interested. They're street artists there. They're extremely talented, and they've never done a consumer packaged good before, but you know, we just said, like, let's do something creative. We had some ideas of what we wanted, and I continued to work with them for a month, and then I came home, and we kept working for a couple more months, and eventually got to what is now this box.
Why that 10-ounce box?
This 10-ounce box is a company has already made this shape, and so we went back and forth on what we wanted the shape to be, and so they were already doing this shaped box, and so it came in 10-ounce size and a 16. I don't think it's 6. I think it's like a 18-ounce and then a 4-ounce, and so we felt like, yeah, this 10 is a really good size. It's about 2.5, 3 servings in there. Let's start with that. It's one
serving for me, but yeah.
It's one serving for me, but yeah. So yeah, we just felt like this is a cool shape. We think we can make this work. Let's give it a try.
That's great. I love this. How do you break up the roles of the co-founders? The two of you.
Yeah, so it's kind of morphed over the past 2 years. The roles are really that Alex and Anna are in charge of recipe development and that side of things, and then my role is really more of a business background, driving the logistics and the strategy of our business, as well as all the day-to-day operations. So, they have another company that they're busy with, and so from a time perspective, it's really me on the ground that's got the time for this, and then it's their creativity and recipe development that they're bringing, as well as the experience of, we've been in this organic health food industry for a while. We know the buyers, we know industry standards, we know what the FDA is looking for, all those kinds of things.
So, Kailey, what's a typical week look like for you?
A typical week is, I'm always down. The place that we work at is called The Plant. So I'm in our kitchen here Monday through Friday. Kira comes in and does production on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So she's here from about 11 to 5 making ice cream, depending on what product we need to be making at that time. And then outside of that, it's just me down here in the kitchen, and I'm always talking with Anna, our other co-founder, daily, working on sales, working on, new flavors, new sizes, marketing, understanding social media. What does that look like? We're doing deliveries. We're going and doing demos. We're talking to buyers. We're trying to engage customers. We're signing up for events, just all sorts of different things.
So how much sleep do you actually get?
Well, we're a healthy company, so we try and find this balance. And so I know that.
Well, I figured my excuse, Kailey, is I eat healthy so that I'm unhealthy on other things. So, because it sounds like there's not enough hours in the day, right? Are you sleeping like 3 hours a day? Is it like 6? What's? No,
I am giving myself plenty of sleep. I do know that the health of the company is truly the health of the founder, and so. It's just we're trying to leverage as much as we can. We're trying to get, we have volunteers now. It's just such a huge help that Kira comes in and can make all of that to free up a little bit of my time to focus on more of these things. So we have a lot of people that are reaching out and wanting to help with marketing, production, events, and things like that. So we're just trying to bring on as many people as we can to kind of spread all of this around and help us grow.
What's the biggest thing in the pipeline for you? Are you looking at, okay, the biggest thing is obviously getting new locations? Is it seeing what other type of products that you want to produce? How do you divide that time?
Right. I think that we have gone through our head, like, can we make new products? The biggest thing for us right now is really refining our process, getting as efficient as possible, and expanding our reach. So we're coming up with 5 new SKUs. We're releasing a new flavor as well as a 4-ounce, really single-serve size container that we're going to be pushing in a lot of our locations. We have a couple hotel chains that are super interested in it that want to do it room service and banquets and things like that. So I guess right now the biggest thing that we're focusing on, we just signed on with a distributor, is really getting our product and the logistics of that moving. Because it is a frozen product, it's extremely hard for us to kind of navigate this world alone. Right now it's me making all the deliveries with coolers in my trunk, and that's just not sustainable. So we're looking to the distribution to really help us get a little bit farther and a little bit more consistent with a lot of these locations. So
will you have 5 additional SKUs in addition to what you already have with the salted coconut caramel, the superfood dark chocolate, and matcha mint chip? So 5 more.
Yep. So we have 1 new flavor, which will be 1 extra SKU in the 10-ounce size, and then we're going to do 4 ounces of all the 4 flavors. So total it'll be 5 more. Yeah.
Got it. So you'll have 1 extra flavor and then just different sizes.
Yeah.
Which is a pain in itself, because then you need all the packaging, and then how does it work now with the actually filling it? Does the person who handles logistics do it?
So our production manager, Kira, is doing that. And what we have learned is, instead of pouring it into a bucket and scooping it out with a spoon, we're now using pastry bags. So we're pulling it out of the machine into pastry bags. And there's some videos on our Instagram where you can see that we can just really easily squeeze it into these containers, and then we can fold them up and throw them in the freezer. Yeah. So it's a much better process.
I have some ideas I want you to do.
All right.
Yeah. It's so painful to have something that melts. I mean,
right. Yeah. And not only is it melting, it's like once it melts, then it forms ice crystals and the texture is off. So then you're putting out a bad product. So it's really, like, how do you control this environment to make sure that the end consumer is getting the best tasting, best textured product?
Yeah. I want to talk about the challenges, but talk about the growth. Hotels is an interesting one, because I feel like, what other interesting distribution you think will be good for Sacred Surf? Because I feel like when I get something at a hotel, I'm not like thinking, I'm not comparing costs of things, because it's usually expensive anyway. So I'm getting it just because I want it. And I'm not looking at, okay, here's Sacred Surf and then here's Breyers right next to it. That's like $2. Right? Yeah. So I feel like that's a really good place to be. What other distribution are you looking at?
Yeah. We've talked a little bit with some juice bars and things like that. We think the customer is very similar.
Totally similar, yeah.
So we think it would be really cool to have them either scoop or sell these single serve. A lot of these little health food stores are interested in these 4-ounce single serve sizes for people that are dining in or grabbing a juice.
Yeah.
And I think when people are paying $8 for a juice, they're recognizing, okay, I can pay $5 for this ice cream. This is, really high quality stuff, and I understand the ingredients in here warrant that.
Oh yeah, they'd totally be into it. I went to a conference in San Diego the other week, and I ate a place called Cafe Gratitude, and I had this. Have you been there before? I don't know if they're all across.
Well, I follow them. I've never been, but I just know that they've got great stuff.
So I feel like your ice cream would be the base of, or your gelato would be the base of, like, their milkshakes. I had this amazing milkshake, obviously no dairy in it, but places like that would be actually perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would places like that buy it in bulk, or?
Yeah, so it's really easy for us to supply gelato pans. There are a couple of vegan restaurants in the city that we're talking to right now to just offer it as, a dessert item on their menu, which I think would be very much in alignment. So we're working on that. Yeah.
So biggest challenges? I mean, there's a lot.
Right.
What's the biggest? I mean, would you do this again if you knew?
Yeah, I would do it again, but I would have a little bit more awareness about what I was getting into.
I remember, Kailey, interviewed this one guy, and he has got this big bread company. And I said, your stuff goes bad at some point. What do you do with all the stuff that goes bad that doesn't, and not all of it's going to sell right away? He's like, I just thought it was a horrible, horrible thing. I'm picturing same thing. It's tough.
Right.
What do you find the biggest challenges lately? I guess lately is a better way to frame it, because every day is a challenge.
Right. Every day has challenges. I would say the biggest things for us are logistics, just getting a frozen product around. Our biggest hope is to go direct to consumer. I really think that kind of is the future, and we want to connect directly with them and offer that tailored experience that you get from Amazon and all these places now. But for us, the costs of shipping on such a small scale that we're at right now is really hard. You add dry ice in there, and then the weight of it on it has to be within 2 days usually, if not overnight. You can't send it on a plane, so we can't even reach California. That is one of our biggest challenges right now is reaching customers. We have people that are in different states, and they're asking for it. We cannot get it to them because we just don't have the structure in place right now. Yeah,
I even think $10 is inexpensive for what you produce. Some people you're comparing it apples and oranges, but I would say anyone should go on sacredserve.com, and if you're in Chicago, get it. If you're not, tell someone in Chicago to get it, because this is the type of company and product like people should be supporting, in my opinion. And even at $10 price point, these are really, really good ingredients. And if anyone's made something like this, with, like you said, the packaging and the transportation, it's tough. You almost need to sell it in bulk. So hopefully people go out and get this stuff at on your site, and obviously they can get it in a bunch of grocery stores. It looks like there's a bunch of Food Smarts, and then the Foxtrot, the Market by Foxtrot. So what other challenges do you think, like, this is top priority for you over the next 6 months?
I think really understanding marketing. I think for us, I meet a lot of people every day, and they're like, oh, I didn't even know that this product exists, and I am dairy free. And so it's always tough to hear that we have this product even in the Chicago market. The Chicago market's huge, and we've only scratched the surface. So before we even think about shipping nationally, it's like, how do we engage this customer base that is right here? Like, we're making it locally. Is it Instagram targeted ads? Is it direct marketing? Like email marketing? What is it? We don't have that background. So right now it's kind of us reaching out and leveraging some people in our network to try and understand, how do we engage this market that we're in. We just don't have that reach yet. Yeah.
For me, I think who I listen to are the influencers, right? Mm-hmm. Health influencers, specifically in Chicago. Maybe it's other founders who have a similar mission. Like I Heart Quinoa founders I talk to. I don't know if you know them.
I do, yeah. We've done a bunch of stuff with them. They're great. Yeah. Natalie, who does all their social media, we've been working with her a little bit.
Yeah. I want to hear, as you're on this journey, it's like a roller coaster pretty much every day. What's some of the best advice you received, and what's some of the worst advice? You don't have to say who gave you the worst advice, but and the worst advice, maybe it seemed like good advice at the time, and the people are well-intentioned. They're not meaning to give you bad advice, but it just wasn't good.
I think some of the best advice we've received is stick with what you're doing and get really good at one thing. Because when we started this, my partners are very creative and have this big raw food chef background, and there's a lot of things that we can make. We can make dairy-free coconut yogurt, coconut kefir, coconut jerky. All these products are just at our disposal. We already know how to make them, but that would be spreading ourselves way too thin. So the best advice I think we've gotten is just get super good at one thing and kind of own that and be that. And we've redirected ourselves back to focus on just ice cream right now. Like, let's get really good at that.
So before I ask about worst advice, what's the most enticing product? Like, you're staying focused on the gelato, right? But what's been the most enticing? Like, this would be great if we just ran with it. What's second on the list?
The second on the list is our coconut meat itself. So that is not a product that I've really seen in the market, and it's at our fingertips. Like, we're using it every day to make our ice cream, and so I would love to also sell that product and then supply people with recipes. Like, here, make our ice cream at home and buy our product to do so. So it feels like this low-hanging fruit. It's also frozen. It's the same distribution channel. But again, it is a sidestep. It is, how do we make the packaging for that? Now we're marketing this, now we're supporting that with recipes, and it's a slightly different thing. And so it may come in the future, but for now
I totally see that. Yeah, I totally see that, because as you were talking about it, I'm like, what could I do with that coconut meat? Because it seems like
smoothies and everything. And I mean, I think in entrepreneurship, that's kind of the tough thing, is that there's always attractive and enticing opportunities left and right, whether it's working with someone or a new product to put out there, whatever it is. And it's really tough to kind of hone in on one thing. But
it makes me think of, Kailey, when you say that, the Sambazon, the acai, the frozen stuff, it totally makes me think of that. I'd love to throw the frozen, because I just bought that, the frozen Sambazon packs with the frozen, Sacred Serve coconut meat, and make some kind of something concoction.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll come to your location and buy it. Then will you sell it to me?
Great. Yes, absolutely.
You will. Okay. Good. Maybe it's just pickup only, so you don't have to drive it.
Pickup only scene. Yeah.
So, worst advice. What's been worst advice you've received?
Worst advice. I don't even know if there's one thing I can think of. I think a lot of people... Or maybe
biggest mistake. It could be biggest mistake that maybe you reverse time.
I would say biggest mistake is bringing people on too early. I think, like we were talking about, there's a lot of opportunities all over the place, and I see the vision of this company and I want it to grow, and I believe in it so much. And when people come to us and they want to fulfill a role and they say, hey, I want to help out with this, you don't want to turn them away.
They love the mission.
Right. But what we've found is, like, we're bootstrapping this whole operation. We cannot afford to bring someone else on. So even while it might help us for a little bit, it's really just, we can't pay anyone. Like, we can't pay for all these side things, even though it sounds like it's helping us to drive forward. It's really just, we have to remember that we're so small and we're so new. We have to do everything. We're doing everything ourselves right now. So yeah, that is the tough thing, is to turn opportunities down right now with the understanding that we're just not there yet.
Yeah. I always ask this, Kailey, is at the end, and first of all, everyone should check out sacredserve.com and get some. And two things. One, what's been a low moment? And then a flip side, what's been a proud moment so far?
All right, let's see. A low moment would be...
Besides today, when you have to...
I think a low moment is financial restrictions. I think that starting a food and beverage business is just extremely capital intensive. You've got to build out these kitchens and all this equipment and all these ingredients up front and all the time and labor involved in making this product that is perishable and keeping it safe and getting it out there. So, you feel that strain every single day. Like, are we going to make enough sales to keep going? Can we keep affording these ingredients? Yeah. So overall, I would say the low moments, the ones that I can really recall the most, are really just being stressed, thinking we're going to run out of money, and how do we keep moving forward?
I guess on the bright side, you can eat the product, so you won't starve, right?
Right. So. And it's healthy, so like I'll always be in good shape.
What about a proud moment?
I would say a proud moment was signing on with our first distributor. I think that is kind of one of the big steps that we've been working toward for a long time, and it kind of just cements that we're still moving forward. and this product is going to grow, and people are seeing the vision. You know, these big companies, they pick and choose who they want to work with. And so to kind of have the support of someone that's been in the industry for so long saying, yeah, we see this product, we want to help move it, we think it would be a good fit, is a really good feeling. And I think another big proud moment is that we've done a couple vegan specific events, and we have lines that are like 50 people deep, and we sell out. And for us, that's just the best, is seeing customers who are like, yeah, I tried you here, and I came today because of you guys. And just people waiting in line for 20 minutes in general to get some of our product is just a crazy, crazy feeling.
Yeah. Well, Kailey, I want to be the first one to say thank you so much. You know, everyone listening to this can say we knew you when, and we knew Sacred Serve when. Everyone should check out sacredserve.com. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.